In today's episode, we'll talk about obsession. Are you obsessed over something? We'll talk about pros and cons of obsession.
Hi, Hussein. Thanks for having me on the English Hour. Obsession is a fascinating topic. I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with anything in particular, but I do have a strong passion for technology and learning new things. It keeps me motivated and curious. How about you? Do you have any obsessions?
Well, actually, I think I am very similar to you. I am very much interested in technology and learning. I am fascinated by technology and how technology shapes our lives and makes everything different.
That's great to hear, Hussein. Technology is such an exciting field, constantly evolving and impacting our lives in so many ways. It's easy to get wrapped up in it. What aspect of technology excites you the most?
I think I'm very much interested in how technology will shape the future, especially the job market and the details around human welfare in the future. But rather than talking about the impact of technology, I want to go back to the topic of obsession. For example, talking about pros and cons of obsession.
Got it, Hussein. Obsession can definitely be a double edged sword. On one hand, it can drive people to achieve great things and push boundaries. On the other hand, it can lead to burnout or a lack of balance in life. Do you think there's a healthy way to be obsessed with something?
Yes, I do. I think obsession can be a very helpful tool, a weapon of success in a way, if you know how to direct it well. For example, if you have some difficult goals and if you're obsessed with them, the obsession will make that goal more attainable because difficult goals require immense effort. But if you're obsessed with something that is not beneficial to your life, that obsession will be harmful.
That's a great point, Hussein. Obsession can indeed be a powerful motivator when directed toward positive and meaningful goals. It can help you stay focused and determined even when things get tough. However, as you mentioned, it's important to be mindful of what we're obsessed with and ensure it's something that adds value to our lives. How do you think people can find a balance between healthy obsession and avoiding harmful ones?
I think it boils down to common sense, like basic understanding of what is helpful for you and what is harmful. For example, if you're obsessed with alcohol or drugs, that's obviously a very harmful, detrimental types of obsession. But if you're obsessed with your work, if you're obsessed with developing a certain skill, for example, playing soccer, playing tennis, or running a marathon, and so on, I think that's a helpful kind of obsession. And as a person with a basic sense of reasoning, I think you can differentiate between good and bad types of obsession.
Absolutely, Hussein. It really does come down to using common sense and being aware of the impact of our obsessions on our well being. Healthy obsessions can fuel personal growth and achievement, while harmful ones can lead to negative consequences. It's all about finding that balance and ensuring our focus aligns with our values and goals. Do you have any personal experiences where you had to manage an obsession?
Sometimes I find myself obsessing over technology a lot. For example, sometimes I'm obsessed with hardware. I try to learn programming embedded devices. Sometimes I'm obsessed with learning how to run digital ads. Like, I think these kinds of obsessions are kind of helpful, but these are not directly revenue generating activities. I mean, when you're obsessed over a lot of things, you're spreading yourself too thin, and as a result, you might feel exhausted or you don't have the time to sort of focus on your core competence, your core business. I think that's one of the challenges I face.
That's a very relatable challenge, Hussein. It's easy to get caught up in various interests, especially when you're passionate about learning and exploring new things. But as you said, spreading yourself too thin can lead to exhaustion and detract from focusing on your main goals. It's a delicate balance between exploring new areas and staying focused on what truly matters for your core business or personal growth. How do you usually manage this balance?
Well, sometimes I spend a lot of time on a certain obsession, and then in the end, I realize that I'm running out of time. I don't have a lot of free time to focus on that obsession or to focus on that activity. And then I decide to just go back to my core business or go back to my core responsibilities. But um, on a related note, I want to ask you about different types of obsessions you find helpful and harmful. Can you give me examples of obsessions that are both helpful and harmful? I mean, of course, this they can be the same types of obsessions or different distinct obsessions.
Of course, Hussein. Let's start with helpful obsessions. For example, being obsessed with fitness can lead to a healthier lifestyle, better physical condition, and even improved mental health. Another example is an obsession with learning a new language or skill, which can open up new career opportunities and enhance personal development. On the other hand, harmful obsessions can include things like being overly focused on social media or screen time, which can lead to a lack of real world interactions and even mental health issues like anxiety. Another example could be an obsession with perfectionism, where the constant need to achieve perfection in every task can cause stress, procrastination, and a fear of failure. As you mentioned, the same type of obsession can be helpful or harmful depending on how it's managed. For instance, being obsessed with work can lead to career advancement, but if it becomes all consuming, it might negatively impact personal relationships and overall well being. It's all about finding the right balance and knowing when to step back.
Well, I think you've made some great points, and these examples are, I think, very clear and helpful for our listeners. I'm sure they will appreciate your wisdom and guidance. I think we should sort of wrap things up before this episode gets too long. Do you have anything else to add?
Thanks, Hussein. It's been a great conversation, and I'm glad we could share these insights with our listeners. Just a final thought. While obsession can be a powerful motivator, it's important to stay mindful and ensure it leads to positive outcomes. Finding balance is key. Thanks for having me on the show, and I hope our listeners find this episode helpful.
I'm sure they'll find it helpful as much as I do. And thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Hussein, and thanks to all our listeners. Until next time, take care and stay curious.